Here are 20 new shortcuts to help you get work done and have some fun. Like see NASA's photo of the day or search the entire NASA photo library. A complete trivia game built into shortcuts completely for free with infinite questions. On a trip and you like the area, search nearby real estate with Zillow from a shortcut. Get a daily summary of the most important messages in your email. Save a LinkedIn post with images to Apple Notes. Create a photo memory album that changes every day. Upload a Dropbox directly from shortcuts and a ton more. And as you're watching this, I just turned 40 years old yesterday. It's okay if you didn't get me anything, but you could take this opportunity to join my Shortcuts community. Over 4,000 people have joined for free, asking for Shortcuts help, submitting shortcuts they've built. And you can become a paying member to access my weekly live streams, which we've been doing more automation. I talked about Hazel and Claude this past week, but you can watch all the stream replays and catch up on everything you missed. And if you just want to watch all my videos ad-free, no sponsors or YouTube ads, that's also a member benefit too. And for all of you already in the community, thank you so much for supporting me as a creator. You allowed me to go fully independent, doing video content here from my Shortcuts community. And without the paying members in the community, I would not have been able to do it. So you helped me do it right before I reached 40 years old, and I am truly, truly thankful. But now, let's get to some shortcuts. All right, let's start with some fun ones. NASA has several different APIs you can call. It's totally free, and I'm going to include my API key with these shortcuts that you could download at the links below, so you can use it right out of the box. But this shortcut will actually get NASA's photo of the day. But every time you run it, you'll see the one photo that NASA put for today. And after you look at the photo, you'll see the title and description. Then you can choose to save it to your camera roll, maybe to use as a wallpaper later, or just skip it, and then you can get a new one the next day. And to pair that, the second one is the NASA photo search. This also uses the NASA API, and you can search for any term. I just have Galaxy pre-filled there, and it will pull all the images that NASA has tagged for that search term. You'll see a bunch of galaxies. You can always specify Andromeda, Milky Way, and then if you select an image here, you'll see it large in Quick Look. There's the full galaxy, and after that, you'll see a menu option to save it to photos. You can set it as your wallpaper right now, or do neither. And if you set it as a wallpaper, you'll choose which wallpaper pair you want. I'll choose my filming focus mode wallpaper lock screen combo. Preview here, you can move it around, and now you have a nice wallpaper from NASA. And if I swipe down, there it is on my lock screen. Next, there's actually an open trivia database that has an API you can use, and I built an entire trivia game in a shortcut. This shortcut lets you choose what category, the difficulty level, whether you want multiple choice or true and false, and then it'll let you play the entire trivia game just right through the shortcut. Tell how many questions you want. I'll say 5. You can choose any of these topics like entertainment, science, or geography. I'll choose that. You can go with what difficulty. I'll choose medium, multiple choice, and then you'll have multiple choice questions. Which country claims ownership of the disputed state Kosovo? I'm not actually sure, but let's go with Serbia. And if you're correct, shortcuts will tell you that it's correct. And if you're wrong, it'll tell you what the correct answer was. What is the capital of the state of Washington? Pretty sure that's Olympia. And we got it correct. Capital of Nevada, that's definitely Reno. Oh, just kidding, I got that one wrong. And so shortcuts will tell you if it was wrong, it'll tell you what the correct answer was. What country ranks first for historically active volcanoes? Is it Indonesia? That's correct. And the capital of Belarus, I'm gonna go with Minsk. That's correct too. So I got 4 out of 5 correct, and it will tell you at the end of the game. And you can play that as many times as you would want. Now let's say you're on a trip and you wanna see if there's any rental or for sale properties around. Well, this shortcut actually uses the Zillow API through RapidAPI. I'll leave my API key here as well. If there's too many hits, you might get an error and you might have to create your own API key, but it is free. You can do that at RapidAPI. I'll put that link down below. But this can actually search around your location, search for properties that are for sale or for rental. You can choose the mile radius. I'll go with 2 miles. Sort by price, lowest to highest. We'll go with highest first. You'll see a bunch of listing results. These are all from Zillow. And if you tap one of the listings, we'll go here. It's actually going to load that listing in the Zillow app or on the website. And remember, that's finding your current location. So this shortcut will need your location here, but you can also choose your own latitude or longitude if you want to search for properties elsewhere. And by the way, another great app that has some powerful shortcuts actions is today's sponsor, and that's Drafts. I use Drafts all the time, especially to write, share things like my podcast, whether it's capturing text, appending to drafts, creating new drafts. I mean, just look at all these actions. And Drafts was just updated 2 hours ago to version 51. Again, I use Drafts as an endpoint for a lot of my shortcuts. You can see some of the changes there. But if I go into my recent drafts, I just use it today to share the latest episode of Primary Technology. I'll run a shortcut, it puts the text here, and then you can even do things like have a bunch of basic actions, send it to reminders, save it to different note apps, and you can customize all of this. And you can have multiple menus with different actions like send this text and create a note in Bear, search this on Google, make this an event in Fantastical, And drafts can be the first place where text goes, and then you can decide what to do with it later. And the best part is drafts is on all your Apple devices. So drafts has a great app here on the Mac, and I still have everything. Syncing is super fast, seamless. And one of the really cool shortcuts actions in drafts is the live activity. You can start a live activity for a certain draft, either ask each time, or I'll just choose the last one that I created. And when you run this, it's gonna have that live activity now always at the top of your iPhone. And then if you want to quickly jump back to that draft, maybe you're doing research, you see something and you want to jump back to add it to the note, that live activity is going to stay at the top of your phone until you turn it off. And then you can just run the shortcut again, maybe put that on a back tap, and you can choose to end the live activity there. You got to try drafts today. You can scan this QR code right here or check the link down in the video description. Here's a special discount going on right now if you join, and it's available on all your Apple devices, iPhone, iPad, Mac, and more. So check out drafts, scan this, link below, and my thanks to Drafts for sponsoring this video. Next, there's actually a mail action on your iPhone where you can look for all the mail that was received today, or even search your mail. It's a little faster than actually using the built-in mail option. What I've done here is this will find all your emails where the date received is today's date, and the body does not use the word unsubscribe. That should cut out a lot of the newsletters you might have gotten today. It's going to get the body of those emails, add it to a variable so there's a bunch of text, sends it to Apple Intelligence, ChatGPT extension, and then you're going to get a summary or report of what emails look the most important, and you'll see it here in a little show content window. And here it is. ChatGPT has tried to identify some urgent or time-sensitive emails like Starbucks account changes. There are some priority messages above this. It'll even give you some bullet points of maybe multiple emails that followed the same topic. Pretty useful little summary, and you can automate this to run every afternoon or maybe every morning, giving you a summary of the previous day's email. And speaking of searching for messages, I use that same search mail action to then do this. If you're looking for something and you're not sure if it was in your text messages or your mail, this will search for a term and then check all your text messages in the last week, and also check all your emails from the last week, and actually surface results and tell you where it found those results. So if I run this and I search for something like Best Buy OLED TV order, this might take a while and it could fail depending on how many messages and emails you actually get. But it's going to get all my messages from the last week, get the sender and body of each message, add that to a variable, then do the same thing in my email, and then send all of that to Apple Intelligence ChatGPT extension to process. And now it searched all my text messages and emails for that search term. Tells me I didn't get any text messages, but there were also some messages that mentioned a TV purchase and even told me what those were here as well. If it takes too long, you can also filter this down. I just moved it to 1 day. You can also change it to the last 2 or 3 days, or you can even filter by more search terms or even by contacts, which can help it run faster and get those search results quicker. Next, had a request on YouTube for someone that wanted to save LinkedIn posts. This is also using Apple Intelligence. But now if you come across a post like this that you want to save, you can actually run this from the share sheet. So I'll save a link and choose the Save LinkedIn Post shortcut. It's actually going to scrape the post, get all the images, summarize the post. So if it's a longer post, you actually get a little summary at the top of the note, but also get the full text of the post and also a link back to the original post. And now it created the note. Here we have a little title generated by Apple Intelligence. I can click the post author and it'll go directly back to their profile on LinkedIn. Have a little summary here, any images that were included in the post, and then the full text of the post with also a link back to the original down at the bottom. Next, I wanted to be able to use ChatGPT through a run shortcut command in other shortcuts. So this I'm calling my ChatGPT single request. You will need an OpenAI API key. You'll need to put that in this text block right here. But now you can dictate the model you want to use whenever you run a request through this shortcut. You can send text into this shortcut, and then it provides text out of the shortcut, and then you can use this shortcut in other shortcuts. For instance, I have a daily news aggregator that looks through many RSS feeds and then tells me the top stories by how often they're shared. Then I can choose which ones to cover in Primary Tech Daily. That's a benefit for members of Primary Technology, link above and link down below. And you'll see here, rather than use a third-party action for a ChatGPT request, or even the Apple Intelligence model, I can actually use my run shortcut, use my ChatGPT request. It's going to take the input from the previous action, send that to ChatGPT, and then it's going to send out text. So now you can have a ChatGPT request in other shortcuts, and then you can dictate the model using the API. And this is much more reliable than the ChatGPT apps action and a little more powerful than the built-in Apple Intelligence use models action, where you can't dictate the model you want to use, like the latest 5.4 model that came out a couple weeks ago. This next shortcut was built by an absolute rock star in the shortcuts community. This was built by Jamie in the community. You'll see her all over the place answering people's questions. Huge thank you to Jamie for helping out. But what this shortcut does is if you have a URL and you don't recognize where it's from, or you want to know where it's actually sending you before you load it, this URL transparency and privacy report is going to use Google's tool to tell you about that URL and then give you a report and put that all in a note. Run this shortcut. It can either get the clipboard or be run from the share sheet. This is telling me that no unsaved content was found on the link that I ran. It's going to take a screenshot just so I can save it with the URL that I actually used. Then it's going to create an Apple note with all that information. Here's the report for this URL, what's the original domain, whether or not there were affiliate tags on that URL, and then what Google said about this link. Kudos again to Jamie for building that one. Next, I've done photos on this day type shortcuts before, but someone wanted an actual album that changed out every day. So what this does is you'll have to create a photo album first called Daily Memories, then choose that album both here on the Remove Photos action, and then in a third place, make sure to choose it down here. And what this will do when it runs, and you can automate it to run every morning in the background, it will remove all the photos from that album first. It doesn't delete the photos, just takes them out of that album. Then it's going to go through the last 20 years of your photos, and any photo that was taken on today's date, so if it's March 14th, it'll be any photo taken on March 14th in the past 20 years, and then add all of those images to your Daily Memories photo album. We can actually watch it doing this live. And if I go to my Daily Memories photo album, you'll see it's adding photos across the years, and as it runs in the background, it'll keep adding more photos all on this day. Then you can go to that one album and see all your memories in one place. Next, someone wanted an easy way to get to the latest episode for a show in Spotify. With this shortcut, just put the URL to the full podcast here in the top action, and this is going to get the raw HTML of that page, send it through ChatGPT to find the latest link, and then simply open that episode in Spotify. If you're here on your phone, it'll actually open it in the Spotify app, and there's the latest episode of Primary Technology. Then you can just click play. Shortcuts can't actually press play on the Spotify episode, but it gets you really close. Next, if you ever wanted to look up the location that an IP address is from, this is using another service with an API. I'll leave my API key in there because it's free to use. You can either input an IP address or just get the current IP address from this device. When you run it, you can choose either or, and if it gets your current IP address, it will tell you the city and country location and even what internet network is being used. Next, if you want to create quick QR codes, I've done this in past videos, but you do not need a third-party service to make QR codes that go to links. Here you can put whatever link you would want. I'll put my YouTube URL here, and instead you can actually just get a URL from your clipboard as the first action. Just run this, and this quick shortcut will automatically make a QR code, and if you were to scan this right now, you would go directly to my YouTube channel. Easy QR code maker, and it shows it in that quick look. Next, if you want to do Safari tab bankruptcy, this actually will get all the tabs currently in Safari and just close them all. Be careful, make sure you don't have anything you actually want to save here, but all these tabs, I'm fine with them being closed, but I'll run this shortcut. It's actually going to go through each of the tabs and just remove them all. So now, no open tabs anymore in Safari. That can also work on your Mac. Next, I don't sync my Dropbox to my Mac, but I wanted to be able to upload files to the Dropbox. So I found out Dropbox actually has an API you can use. Using this, you actually need to put a folder path here in the first action, and you do need to get an API key from Dropbox and put that here. But once you specify the folder path and put your API key there, this shortcut will allow you to select files, and then it will upload even multiple files to that folder path of choice. Now, to get that API token, you don't need any kind of special developer account. Just go to dropbox.com/developers/apps. I'll put that link down in the video description as well. But here you would create an app. There's only one option, scoped access. I give it access to my full Dropbox, and then you can name your app. I'll call it Live Shortcuts, click Create App. Then before you generate the token, go over to the Permissions tab here and make sure you check all the things, definitely files and folders, file content, write and read. And if you want to be able to upload things to shared and collaborated folders, make sure to check those too, submit those changes, then go back over to the settings for this app, go down to Generate Access Token, and then this is the token you would use in the shortcut. Now, I did find my token seemed to expire after a couple days and I had to generate another one, so I'm still working on getting a token that is permanent so I don't have to keep regenerating these tokens. But it does work. I was able to upload files for several days using this method. Let me know if that's useful for you, and if you have any information on the tokens and maybe getting it to be permanent rather than expire after a couple days. Next, someone had a request wanting to save news articles from an RSS feed and then be able to access those news articles in chronological order. They didn't want it to be in Apple Notes, So I'm using DataJar. DataJar is a great third-party app. I'll put a link down in the video description. But what this does is it actually saves the last 20 items from an RSS feed to a specific DataJar value. Then it's going to show you a list, oldest first to newest at the bottom. These are all the articles that were saved, the title and the URL. So this is Apple's newsroom. And then if you actually want to read one of those articles, you can just tap on one and it will open that URL in Safari. You can also have this pull multiple RSS feeds and combine that all into the one DataJar list, but it's another way to save the news besides doing it through Apple Notes or some other kind of database. Next, I've had a number of requests for translation, and there's a number of languages not available using the built-in Translate action and shortcuts, including something like Hebrew. So what this does is actually takes Hebrew that you might have on your clipboard, sends it to ChatGPT, this is using the Apple Intelligence model, shows you the translation, then asks for a reply, and then will translate your reply from English back to Hebrew and then copy that to the clipboard. So I actually have some Hebrew on my clipboard right now. I'll run the shortcut. It's going to translate it to English and then show me the response right here. And then I can type my reply. The library is actually down the street and to the left. It's going to translate that to Hebrew and then put it on my clipboard right there. Just change the prompt, either what language you're coming from or what language you're wanting to translate to, and anything ChatGPT can translate, this shortcut can translate as well. Next, if you ever wanted one shortcut to rule them all, this is also from the community. This is an Apple Master Shortcuts, and it basically gives you a really long choose from menu list that allows you to go to lots of different places, whether it's setting low power mode, go to the current app settings, go to silent, but also then jump to your Apple account subscriptions, toggle hotspot. A bunch of fun actions here, including search and open your text messages, and of course you can customize this menu to be whatever you would want. Tap subscriptions, and that's going to send you over to see all your monthly and annual subscriptions, and yes, I do pay for Apple Care for a lot of stuff. Next, this is a Webp to JPEG converter, and I actually set this up on my Mac. So how you would use this shortcut is if you want to convert any Webp file that hits a folder and then convert it to a JPEG, you would go into the Automations tab here in Shortcuts on your Mac, create a new automation that's based on a folder, and then for choosing a folder, you will have to choose a folder that is not syncing to iCloud. Unfortunately, these Shortcuts automations, whether your Shortcuts will not do it to iCloud synced folders. I sync my desktop and documents folder, so I need to choose something like my downloads folder. Side note, if you listen to the latest episode of Mac Power Users, it actually comes out tomorrow, Sunday, if you're watching this when it came out, we talk about a lot of different Finder automations, apps, and actions. And one of the apps we talk about is Hazel, which can actually do this, convert WebPs to JPEGs automatically, whether it's on an iCloud Drive folder or not. I won't spoil it, but you can listen to and subscribe to Mac Power Users up here. I'm going to choose my Downloads folder here in this Shortcuts automation. When any item is added, I want this to run immediately. And then let's choose our Convert WebP to JPEG shortcut. Now, let's drag a file into that folder. And if I ever wanted to use an image like from The Verge, maybe in some chapter artwork or whatever, the way I have the shortcut set up, if I drag the WebP to my Downloads folder, the Shortcuts automation will see it, convert it to JPEG, and then move it to my desktop. And so now I have a JPEG version of that image file on my desktop thanks to that automation. Keep in mind, this shortcut is expecting a folder as input. So if you try to choose a file with this shortcut, it's not going to work. It's needing a folder, and it looks at all the contents of that folder and then converts the WebP images. Our last couple shortcuts here, someone wanted one that logged cellular coverage, like when they're traveling. So this shortcut just gets your current location, cell phone coverage, and it will log the full street address. I just deleted mine here, but it will mark the day, the time, what cellular network you're on, how many bars, and it will keep appending that to the same Apple Note. 2 AT&T Wi-Fi bars right now. Also, I created this just for myself, again, to add images to the show notes of Mac Power Users, but if you ever wanted to use a cloud service like Cloudflare to host some image files because you wanted to be able to link those images and your website provider, like mine is Squarespace, doesn't make that easy, this shortcut allows me to upload multiple images, and then it gets links to those images and copies it to my clipboard. You do need to set up a worker in Cloudflare and actually sign up for the R2 storage. I'll still share this shortcut if you want to build it. I use Claude to walk me through all the steps of setting up my Cloudflare account if you're interested in that. And lastly, I do have to tell you, a great third-party app, Callsheet, is adding some really powerful actions in the next version of the app. This is not public right now. This is a test flight, so you won't see these actions right now. But once this launches publicly, you're going to be able to search for movies or TV shows, get things like videos, whether it be a trailer, filter that information, choose and even open it. These are just a few of the actions, but for instance, if I want to see the trailer for Project Hail Mary, I'll tap Done. It'll show me all the different videos available that the movie database has surfaced. I'll tap something like the official trailer, and it will open it over in YouTube. You can also get media info from search results, and you can pull all this different data from movies and TV shows that you're pulling using the Callsheet action. Things like the movie poster URL, the summary, release date, and then you can format all this in a shortcut. I built a super long complicated shortcut using the movie database API, and Callsheet has just made that way easier. So now I can search for a movie, and it will show me the data I want to see. Here's the summary with the score, release date, and I'm going to build a bunch of shortcuts with this soon. Remember, these actions are not available publicly yet, but are coming in the next version of Callsheet, and I'm going to build a bunch of stuff for that release. So those are 20 new shortcuts. I hope you enjoyed things like that trivia, NASA's photo of the day, and photo search, and a ton more. Let me know which are your favorite down in the comments, and if you have some shortcuts requests, leave them down there as well. I check the comments, try to build those, and of course, join my shortcuts community at shortcut.bot. You can just scan this QR code, join over 4,000 people for free, lots of amazing contributors like Greg and Jamie in the community helping others, and then you become a member and get access to my weekly live streams, which we're doing shortcuts and automation and powerful things with Claude. Would love to have you there. Also get all my YouTube videos ad-free and a ton more. I'll leave a couple videos up here that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy, and thank you again for watching and supporting. I'll catch you next time.